And why would one school holding a special graduation for why would one school hold a special graduation for illegal immigrants? To fill us in on the comings and goings on our nation's institutions of higher learning is from campus reform is correspondent Gabriella Morrongiello. Gabriella, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, campus reform is a project of the Leadership Institute. All right, now, you guys do, I say this every week, I'll say it again, Gabriella, you guys do a great job at campus reform, observing what's happening on America's campuses and reporting on it. Now, in this instance, one of the stories you're following is that the commencement speeches, those speakers that were liberal, those speakers that were conservative, that were invited to speak this year across America, it's not even close, who the campuses invited. Tell us about the difference.
Right. Well, I mean, as if we needed any more reason to distrust higher education as is. What we've seen in the latest report is that students at the nation's top 50 schools are 9 times more likely to hear from a liberal commencement speaker than a conservative one. And that's an embarrassment to academia. Universities are there and are supposed to enliven debate among students and encourage the free exchange of ideas, not serve as a platform for the Democratic Party and inculcate students through these commencement speeches.
Gabriella, you're right. 9 out of 10 speakers, according to your research, 9 out of 10 speakers have been liberal speakers. 1 out of 10 a conservative. College campuses should be embarrassed, the administrators and the presidents. And let's call it what it is. It's hypocritical. It's hypocritical because these liberal colleges love to say that this is a bastion of a freedom of ideas where we talk about we're open to other points of view and we're tolerant. But their actions show a different story. Has there been any reaction from these campuses after your organization has revealed the hypocrisy here?
Well, I haven't seen any reaction on behalf of students, and actually students themselves are leading some of these efforts to bring liberal speakers or to protest conservative ones. Last spring, the Leadership Institute's campus reform reported on a couple stories about Condoleezza Rice, who was protested from being the commencement speaker and eventually forced out. And even this year, more recently, we saw student protests at Greg Abbott's speech at the University of North Texas. So it's not just college administrators who are guilty of this ridiculous liberal bias when it comes to commencement ceremonies. It's students themselves who are guilty of feeding it as well. And
you bring up a great point. The administrators have caved into that far left-wing protesting students on their campuses. You bring up a good example, Condoleezza Rice. You know, and I know, all our viewers know, again, she was scheduled to speak. These left-wing student protesters protested. The university removed her. We all know, Gabriella, that had she been a Democrat and had conservative students protested her scheduled speech, those conservative students would have been called racist by the left and by the media. Now, elsewhere, you know, we are big critics here on the show of many of those in Hollywood, not all, but many of those, for their values and who they are. But again, campus reform, as reported on a story which is worth telling our viewers about. Here we see Michelle Obama telling graduating college students that they are victims of an unfair world. If they are a woman, if they are black, if they are Hispanic, if they are gay, if they are, I don't know, transgendered, if they are fill in the blank, they are the victims in an unfair world. On the other hand, we see Hollywood celebrities, Denzel Washington, Matthew McConaughey, giving a different message. Tell us about their messages.
Right. Well, students are constantly indoctrinated to think that they're victims of various circumstances and that they should be offended by everything and everyone. So it was a breath of fresh air to see actors like Matthew McConaughey and Denzel Washington come to college campuses, big college campuses, in fact, and deliver a message that tells students, don't buy into this, sense of entitlement that a lot of millennials have developed. Don't think of yourself as a victim, but rather pull yourself up by your bootstraps and define your own success. And even more so, Denzel Washington spoke at a secular university in New Orleans, and he delivered an incredibly faith-based message, which is shocking given the magnitude of political correctness on campuses and how often the left tries to silence Christians on campus.
And you know, our hats off, kudos to Denzel Washington and Matthew McConaughey. Again, we oftentimes criticize Hollywood. I want to applaud them in this instance. Now, final story. It's out here in the West Coast, San Francisco State University. They are holding a special graduation party for illegal immigrants. Before you tell us about it, I want our viewers to know this story. We happen to know, we have a close connection here on this show, Gabriella, to San Francisco State University, and we happen to know that SFSU hires illegal immigrants, knowingly hires illegal immigrants to work in the school campus cafeteria. And what that does, I'm not blaming the illegal immigrant. I'm blaming the university, because what it does, it takes a job away from a tuition-paying student who is a citizen. That student can't take that job knowingly given to an illegal immigrant. As a matter of fact, when I was in college, I worked in the cafeteria as a food runner. I used to run that slop out from the kitchen to the food, lines. But now tell us about this special graduation party.
Right. Well, as you mentioned, this is a university-sponsored event. It's called the Beyond Borders graduation ceremony. And what it was a special party, a special ceremony for illegal students graduating from San Francisco State University. And it's a slap in the face to U.S. citizens and legal immigrants who are attending SFSU. And, they're not graduating with special ceremonies. So all that this does is just demonstrate the complete disregard for rule of law on behalf of the students who hosted this event and college administrators for allowing it to occur. In a final comment, I'll go a step further. I agree with what you said. I'll go a step further. I believe that it is demeaning to the illegal immigrant. Why do you need a special party? If I'm here illegally and have come in here as someone brought me here illegally as a child, or I've risked coming in, whatever the case may be, I don't want to be treated differently. All right, Gabriella Morrongiello, love your last name, from Campus Reform. Thank you for joining us. Our